Hi, my name is Ben. Welcome to Ben's Language Lab. Stories are one of the best ways to improve at a language, and stories with pictures, like these, are even better. And so today, we're going to read a comic together. This video is meant for beginner-level English learners, and so if you need, there are subtitles available, or you can see the entire transcript on benslanguagelab.com. And make sure you subscribe so that you can see more videos like this one. Right now, your job is to watch, listen, and enjoy. We're currently reading Tintin and this Red Rackham's Treasure. The Secret of the Unicorn is the last episode, or the last series we did. And so, if you haven't seen that one yet, make sure to go watch it because it's what happened before what we're reading now. So, let's continue with Red Rackham's Treasure. So, if we remember to last time, Tintin and Captain Haddock have just bought a diving suit. A suit to go diving and look for the treasure. But they also had an omen of bad luck. So we'll see what happens. Because what this man says is, "Remember what I said, my lad. You won't find any treasure," says the old man. He's warning them. He doesn't think they're going to find treasure. Why did my tablet just disconnect from the computer? That is very annoying. Give me a moment. I've been having this issue recently where it just disconnects. But we are back, right? There we go. So, the next day, the next day we see Tintin walking along the pier. This is called a pier. It's that land that's next to water and has ready for all the boats and things. It can also be called the docks. And so we see Tintin and Snowy walking down the docks together, the pier, and it looks like they're going to the boat, the Sirius. I believe that's the name of the boat that they're renting or they're borrowing. And so this is the ship they're going to be sailing on. And so he gets onto the boat, this looks like the pier still, and says, "Good morning, Captain. All well?" "Not bad," he says, which is not bad, right? He's all right. And then he says, "Yes, bad, very bad. I'm ill. The flu, I expect. I've been thinking, well, briefly, to put it in a nutshell, I'm not going," he says. He feels sick. He feels bad. He's sick, right? He's ill. And he thinks it's the flu, which is a kind of sickness. But he says that, to putting it briefly, there's a lot of reasons, but he doesn't want to go. "I'm not going," he says. "You can't be serious," says Tintin. "Perfectly serious. I'm not superstitious, but to break a mirror on the eve of a voyage, no, definitely I'm not going," he says. And so he's worried about this mirror because it's bad luck, apparently. But he's saying he's not superstitious, right? So, what just happened? He's saying he's not superstitious. Come on. There we go. He's saying he's not superstitious. I've said that like a billion times now. But and superstitious means it's somebody who is afraid of things like that, omens or that sort of thing. But he's saying he's not superstitious, but because he broke the mirror on the eve of a voyage, those are some good words. Eve is the night before, or eve of something, right? So if today is, let's say, Tuesday, the eve would be the Monday evening, right? Monday evening. So we call that the eve of. Christmas Eve is December 24th, right? Is the day before Christmas Eve. And so that's why. It's like the day before something happens, right? The eve of something. And a voyage is a big, long journey on a boat. Usually. You can use it for things on land or an airplane ride, but it's usually used for a long journey of a boat. So he doesn't want to go. What? He doesn't want to go look for treasure? And then we see the Thompsons. "Hello. Bad news, my friends. We've just heard that Max Bird has escaped," he says. And then, which is that man that was attacking them last time in the last series we did on the Secret of the Unicorn. And so then Haddock is saying, "What did I tell you? A good start, isn't it?" And it's not actually a good start. He's sort of being sarcastic, right? And he's saying, "Look, bad luck is already starting to happen. Yes, that troublesome antique dealer, he managed to give 2 policemen the slip when he was being taken for questioning." So giving somebody the slip, he managed to give them the slip. And that's when you get away from somebody. You run away from them. You slip away from them and and so you escape, right? So he managed to escape from 2 policemen. I wonder who they are. Maybe it's these 2 dumb policemen. But that means that the troublesome antique dealer, that was the guy from last time. And he got away as he was being taken for questioning. They wanted to ask him more questions. But then Tintin says, "Oh, that's bad." And then this guy comes and says, "There's a letter for you, Captain." And he gives Haddock a letter. And then he says, "For me, what's this about?" "Billions of blistering barnacles," he says as he opens and reads the letter. And then, "Is it bad news, Captain?" Read it for yourself. It's ghastly." And then it's from Dr. A. Leach. Maybe we'll talk about this in a second. Oh, ghastly, by the way, is something that's just so terrible, right? And so he's giving it to Tintin to read. "Dear Captain, I have considered your case and concluded that your illness is due to poor liver condition. You must therefore undergo the following treatment. Diet strictly forbidden, all alcoholic beverages, wine, beer, cider, spirits, and cocktails." And so he went to the doctor, all right? And he went to see the doctor because he's sick. He feels bad. And the doctor took his case, which means he examined things. It's like fancy language, basically, due to his liver. Your liver is what processes these alcoholic beverages and sort of slightly poisonous things, essentially. And so he's saying that he's strictly forbidden to drink wine, beer, cider, spirits, and cocktails. All the things that Captain Haddock loves. He drinks too much, a lot, which is why he has a bad liver, and so he can't. But then we hear from off on the edge, we hear, "Good day, gentlemen. I hope I'm not intruding." To intrude is to interrupt, to get into somebody's conversation or something, and to be somewhere you're not wanted. So he says, I hope I'm not intruding. Who is it? Oh, it's the deaf man, the man that can't hear. And then they're all a little bit angry to see him. They all are glaring at him. They have their faces with anger of some kind, right? They're not happy to see him. But then he says, "No, well, I'm happy to tell you my machine is ready now. May I come aboard?" he says. So the machine that he built for them, the diving machine, is ready. It's ready to go. It's prepared. So he asks, "May I come aboard?" That's onto the ship. So they are on the ship. This here is on the ship. And he asks to come aboard, to come down with them. And then Haddock says, "You can't come aboard. We're not interested in your machine. You can't come aboard. We aren't interested in your machine," is what he said. So he says, "No," basically. "Nuh-uh, no." "Tomorrow," says the man. "Oh, tomorrow, you say?" "No, not tomorrow. Never." "Today? Good. I'll go and fetch it at once," he says. They're trying to get rid of him, saying, "Go away. We don't want your machine that's going to break." Because last time it broke in half. But then he says, "Oh, okay, I'll go get it. I'll go fetch it." And they're all, what's going on? There we go. And so Haddock is very angry, and he runs after him like this. He grabs him by the shoulder and says, "Blistering barnacles, you may be deaf, but you aren't blind, are you?" And so blind is when you can't see. Deaf is when you can't hear. Deaf, blind. And so he writes on the wall, "We are not interested in your machine." That's that. Now he understands. Let's hope so, he says. And so then we see this. Now they're talking again to Thompson or Thompson, I don't know who it is, and says, Captain, is what Tintin says really true? He's just told us that you've decided not to go. It seems you broke a mirror and are afraid. Afraid, he says. Me afraid? Afraid of what? And so it looks like they're talking about him not wanting to go, right? So he didn't want to go. You broke a mirror. Are you afraid? He says. Are you afraid? I'm afraid, right? And so that makes Haddock a little bit upset. He's not afraid. Afraid of you, perhaps. Captain Haddock fears nothing, you understand. We weigh anchor at dawn tomorrow, no matter what anyone says, is what he says. And so what happened here is that Tintin probably had an idea, right? We see he's smiling here. He thought, I know how to get to Haddock to go, to say that he must be afraid of going. And so he gets Thompson to tell Haddock that. And so Haddock goes, no, I'm not afraid. We're going tomorrow, no matter what, right? No matter what anyone says. That means it's going to happen regardless. Even if it's raining and snowing and somebody says no, they're going to go. Ouch! He yells, though, because he had a lighter. No, that's not a lighter. That's a match. He had a match in his hand. A match is the thing you go, and it makes fire. He had a match in his hand, and it was going, and ow! He says. And then it's the next day. We see the Sirius is now off to sea, or I assume it's the next day, because that's when he said they would leave. Yep, and then here Tintin is on the boat as well. It was snowy, and he says, at last we are on our way. Tintin, says the captain from above deck. So these different levels are called the decks, right, on a ship. And so this is the upper deck, this is the lower deck, and then inside, so in the building, right, so this is a window, inside there is below deck, because you're under it, right? And then we hear the captain from the upper deck yell, Tintin, a radio message. He's gotten a message. Somebody called with the radio and want to talk to Tintin. Port commander to Captain Sirius. Reduce speed. Motorboat coming out to you, he says. What can this mean? So the message is saying that first it's who. So the port commander is talking to the captain of the Sirius, which is, in this case, Captain Haddock. And the command is reduce your speed. Slow down. Reduce is to make smaller, and speed is how fast you're going, right? Because a motorboat is coming out. So this must be a little motorboat, a small boat with a motor. They're going. Because Tintin goes, oh, look, there's a motorboat coming now. And so the boat is going to come talk to them, right? This is a motorboat right there. And then Haddock says, I can't quite see the passenger, but it better not be Professor Calculus, the deaf man who he said, we're not interested in your machine. But then we see that it looks like the two, the Thompsons, Thompson and Thompson. And so they're going out in a motorboat to meet with them. Thompson and Thompson? What are they coming on board for? Or aboard for, is what Tintin asks. But they say, hello, we're coming with you. Coming with us? So apparently there's more people on this voyage. We've had orders to protect you, he says. Protect us? Protect us? Is someone threatening us? Asks Tintin. So is somebody warning or threatening means that they're saying we're going to hurt you, we're going to kill you in some way, probably because of the treasure. And so Tintin is worried that somebody's threatening them because they're going after the treasure. Because they've gotten orders, they've been told to go protect them. Them, I don't know why, they're not very good at their job, but oh well. And so we'll see why. Yes, you are in danger. Max Bird, the antique dealer, was seen last night skulking near the Sirius. He may try to take his revenge, is what they say. And so the man that escaped, Max Bird, was skulking near the Sirius. To skulk is to hide in the shadows, to sneak around, to go slowly. And so he was looking around the Sirius, waiting and just hanging around. And so he might try to take his revenge. Revenge is when you get somebody back for something that happened. So in this case, he might try to steal from them or hurt them in some way. Then Haddock says, just let him try. He'll find out. Maybe. But anyway, now we are aboard and you will be able to feel that you are perfectly safe. To be precise, perfectly safe, says the Thompsons, which I wouldn't feel very safe with them because they're crazy and a little dumb. But they're saying that you're going to be perfectly safe now. And Haddock says, we shall see. Meanwhile, we must find you a berth. Let's see. We have a couple of spare bunks forward. Will that do? So a berth is basically a bed on the boat. This is a boat term. Forward is basically just forward without the W, and it's about where they're going to sleep. So sort of towards the front of the boat. Forward. And so the bunks are beds as well, but bunk beds have multiple layers. So come on, switch now. So if let's say this is a bed, and there's another bed up here with a little ladder, right? That's a bunk. Bunk 1, bunk 2. This is a bunk bed. Those are very common on boats or places where there's not much space for a lot of people to sleep. And it says, yes, thanks, that'll do. And then we hear, Captain, I can't stand it, is what looks like the cook is saying. He's wearing an apron. This is an apron, and so he's probably the chef, right? And he says that I can't stand it. I won't do this anymore. I can't stand it means that this is too much. This thieving Snowy, he's stolen a whole box of biscuits. So Snowy, it seems, is stealing food. No. Snowy? asks Tintin, because this man is very upset. He's stealing biscuits. And then he says, yes, Snowy, I saw him just now near the gallery. Snowy? Where is that wretched animal, he says. Wretched. Is terrible, awful, stupid, something like that. Snowy, where are you? Oh, galley, by the way, is kitchen. On a boat. It's called a galley, but it's just a kitchen. It's smaller, though, right, because it's on a boat. But then we see Snowy. He's hiding behind this mast, this big post here. He's hiding, looking around. And then Tintin says, I can't see him, the scoundrel, but don't worry. I'll see that it doesn't happen again. Good, says the cook. He's a scoundrel, a punk. He's a little rascal. Any of those words are like somebody that's misbehaving in some way. But Tintin assures him that it won't happen again. And so now, the two Thompsons are saying, so, our captain is forward, isn't it? Yes, forward, he says. And then the Thompsons say, we'll change at once and mix discreetly with the ship's company. Good idea, he says. And so their plan is to change their clothes, right? So like you see here, they change their clothes. And they're going to mix discreetly with the company. That's the ship's company are the people on the ship, right? The sailors. And they're going to mix discreetly means that they're going to mix secretly or subtly. Their goal is not to be noticed, right? So they want to look like sailors. They want everybody to think that they belong, right? And he says, good idea. But then they change into this ridiculous getup, whatever these are, and they look absolutely ridiculous. What? But anyways, we're going to have to see if they can discreetly mix with the rest of the ship's company in the next episode, because that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for watching and enjoying. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, and leave a comment down below with how it went. What did you learn today? Remember, there are transcripts for everything that I upload on benslanguagelab.com. I'll see you next time. Bye!